This is the 6th lesson in the face drawing series, and this lesson focuses on how to draw ears. So I'm going to begin by looking at Mr. George Clooney, and if we take a look at the ear, you can see it's really complicated, and the thing is, though, is that we rarely see that much detail in an ear because this is what you see from the side view. But if you go to the front view, you can see you usually only see maybe just a little bit of the bottom right here. Same in Beyonce's picture, we only see the bottom because of her hair. People with long hair, you don't see ears at all. But this is kind of the view that you would see from the front of it. So let's go ahead on the drawing and start drawing that ear. So the basic math that we did was that it starts in the middle of the eye and that it stops at the bottom of the nose. And sometimes when you're looking at photos, you're like, man, that's not what it looks like in this picture. That's because very rarely are the photographs exactly straight on. I mean, his head's slightly tilted. So when you're drawing off of a photo or a person in front of you, you just locate the angle compared to the face from what view you see. But this is the basic one that we use. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that one up a little bit here. So starting at the top, the ear starts here but then goes up for the top of it. We're going to curve it kind of down, in, and then go down to the earlobe. The other thing is most people assume, if this is the side of your face, that earlobes go down like this, but they actually change from person to person. Well, some people have this space here between their face and the earlobe. A lot of people, their earlobes just go like this, and there is no gap in that section. So I'm just kind of compromising and putting just a little bit of one. Again, reminder, we are looking at the ear from the front, not the side. So the other thing that we need to do is there is this area right about here, just kind of a little bit below the middle, where your face actually kind of bumps out a bit. So we need to take the profile line of the face and bring it out. All right. And the other thing is we've got to draw where the hole is. So once again, just going to very lightly start to indicate that area. And we also have the curve at the top of your ear where the skin bends over. So I'm just going to start giving myself a little bit of line. So once again, first you do the math, then you do the shape, and then the fun part, in my opinion, is always the shading to create the form. And of course I do not want any outlines, so I'm going to go back in, really lighten up all those lines I just did. And start with the shading. So the darkest part of the ear is going to be this part where the hole is, and we're going to shade it pretty much the same technique that we did for the nostril, where I'm going to just start with the edge. So right here on this little bump and here on the bottom, I'm going to start it a little darker there, and then I'm going to go in and softly bring it out so that it slowly transitions from the darker area to the light. And then it gets really fuzzy when you use a smudgy, so at some point you do have to watch your edges. So I'll go back in, and without it being an outline, I've just kind of gotten back in and sharpened it. This is reading as an outline right here, so I need to go in and soften that edge a little bit better. Okay, so the other place that we need to put the shadow is underneath the curve right up here. So once again, I'm just going to start with shading a little bit on that edge and then transition my values from the dark to the light. All right, so what else do we need to curve here? Well, the bottom, the lobe of the ear is basically a sphere. So that means we got to start, the bottom of it needs to be a little bit darker. And it slowly has to get lighter as it comes up in order to show that it's rounded. And then the whole outer part of the ear, again, we need to bend that shape into a form. So just by going back in and softening that edge, it'll start to create the illusion that we want. So this gives us three-dimensional lobe. I'm just going to add a little bit more shading down here. So trying to go always sort of from darker to lighter, slowly transitioning without an outline. And then same thing, I need to make sure there's no outline around this ear. It's just the shading. And then going a little darker to light inside, and especially right here where the ear cavity is.